virus. How can we stop Ebola? In the interview, German coordinator for Ebola, Walter Lindner.
Walter Lindner, the Ebola epidemic clearly represents a major international public health emergency. And I'd like to begin by asking you, in your capacity as the German government's special representative in the fight against Ebola, for your personal assessment of the magnitude of the gravity of the challenges that we now currently face as a result of that emergency.
Well, Mr. Griff, I spent I'm in this job since 4 weeks, and I spent more than 2 weeks in the region. Mm-hmm. For me, it was important to see what's happening on the ground and what kind of burden is really there for the people there. And my impression from there is, of course, the magnitude is gigantic, because it's not only the medical issue, which is sad enough, but it is the economic repercussion, mm-hmm. and the social repercussion. Mm-hmm. Like the social fabric of these three countries is really almost, it's totally in danger, because mm-hmm. so many habits have to be broken. So many habits are put upside down that this really left a huge impact on me.
Do you agree with the assessment of Anthony Banbury, the man who's in charge of the United Nations efforts on Ebola, who says that the rate of transmission is slowing down in some parts of West Africa, but accelerating massively in other parts, especially in the capital cities? Is that a fair description of the problem?
Well, I think yes. Of course, I know Banbury, and he's a very reasonable man, and he's basing his comments, I guess, on the latest figures of the WHO, I guess, which is true. We see some not a decline, but some less steep increase in figures in Liberia and maybe in Guinea as well, which is not really true yet. But on the other hand, on Sierra Leone, we have still a steep increase. And with Ebola, the tricky thing is, it's very difficult to predict. It could be that, let's say, a less steep increase could turn in a few days, in a few weeks, in another outbreak. Mm-hmm. Because you really have to get rid of all these cases and solve them until you can really say, well, now we are on a really positive way. It is still too early to say that. Mm.
You mentioned at the beginning the impact that it is having on the very fabric of society, of community in society, of trust in society. Can you describe that for us?
Well, imagine West Africans are people who are very outgoing, very hugging and body contact people. Now, what they say in the three countries, it's ABC, it's avoid body contact, mm-hmm. which means no body contact at all. Mm-hmm. Maybe to your wife, but then, of course, if you have symptoms, she is...
Well, give me an idea then of how do people greet each other when they meet each other on the street? Do they shake hands? You can't shake hands. No,
you can't shake hands.
So what do?
You use the elbow.
You use the elbow?
Yes, like this.
I've got to come across and...
Yeah, do that.
So this is what they do?
That's what they do.
That's what you see people doing all over the place on the street.
If they do anything, because they could do like this as well. So it's possible. Well, the point is, there's no hugging and there is no handshaking. But as well in street life, there's no public, let's say, discotheques or even restaurants. You keep your distance. It's even better not to touch anyone. You know, some of this might be irrational because if people have not had any exposure to an infected and syndromes showing person, then there should be no danger. But still, one thing is your brain and the other thing is your gut feeling. And this is something very archaic, something which is really, it's a load on you.
So the crisis is casting a shadow over the whole of society. Where do you pick up on that? Do you pick up on that at the airport as you arrive in the country?
In fact, you pick up on it already on the plane. Because there are just very few airlines going down there, Brussels Air and Air France. Once you arrive at the airport, wherever it is in one of the three countries, you're tested immediately on your fever. And of course, fill out again forms. If there's anything, where can we reach you? What contact did you have? And then whenever you leave the airport, you see that everywhere, another body check, another check of your health. And there's just one topic, which is Ebola.
How did you, as a person, cope with this? Because you're being exposed to influences that must have made your level of fear, your level of anxiety must have been perhaps difficult to control.
Well, I wouldn't say fear. I think if you go to this country, and in my job especially, I'm there to try to make a change there, to help make things better. Now, fear would like impede you and would like block you. I think you have to have the highest respect of such a danger. So that's why you have to revisit all your habits. Imagine your body habits. Somebody always uses to put his hair back or something, and by that you touch your eye. Now this is a way how you transmit body fluids into your body system. Mm-hmm. Now or you have the habit to touch people or to touch anything. Don't do that. So this is something which restricts yourself once you arrive. After a while you're getting used to it, but still every day it is this kind of rethinking your habits. On the other hand as well, the irrational part it's more dominating. You wake up and think, oh my gosh, don't I feel any headache? Because symptoms are like headaches and diarrhea and vomiting and this kind. My gosh, does my stomach feel bad? Or this? It's nonsense in one side, but in the other side, it's very real, and nobody can really run away from this.
What, in concrete terms, is the German government doing to respond? You represent the German government in its efforts here.
Well, first of all, I think it has been said, and several times, we all came late, which is true. And not only the Germans, but almost the rest of the world, including the UN system. But this is not my topic now, because this is lessons learned in the future. Now, when I came there, I saw that already there are quite a number of things happening there, initiated by the Germans. Take the air bridge. The air bridge is something by the Bundeswehr, done between Accra,
the German Armed Forces,
mm-hmm. From Dhaka through all the capitals of the three countries until Accra. And they had to start early, 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, to get things on ground. The hangar for storing stuff, the possibilities to fly over those countries. A lot of things had to be pre-installed there. And now this thing is running, and it's in heavy demand. Now this was already there 4 weeks ago. Then, for example, laboratories for diagnosis in Conakry. There are only 2 facilities are from the Germans, and they were done there. Now we have the air bridge. We have a lot of.
How many people are we talking about here?
The air bridge?
No, the German involvement, the people who are already on the ground in the country.
Right now, at the moment, I would say you would have about 30, 40 people on the ground.
And how many more are likely to come from Germany in the near future to join those people, to join those health professionals and those military people?
Well, including the volunteers and all this, there might be maybe 100.
You're making it sound like a lot, but the fact of the matter is that it's very, very clear that these 3 countries, Guinea, Liberia and Sierra Leone, they're not going to be able to solve these problems themselves. And some people, outside observers, are saying we might need as many as 40,000 people. Yeah, and you're talking about 100.
I know. Yeah, I know.
It's all happening too slow, and it all sounds a little bit like a drop in the ocean.
Well, we all came late, but there's a lot of activity right now. Now, if you even talk with the bigger players like the UK and the US, they as well don't have that many people on the ground yet. Things are, some things take time. It's maybe one thing is to set up something like Médecins Sans Frontières, which is very, very, very good. I have the biggest admiration. But on the other hand, the air bridge needs some more time. And the air bridge brings material, for example, tents, biscuits for UNICEF, for the World Food Program, for example, all the food which is necessary for the quarantined people. So you see, and then you have the Red Cross, which is already now in the countries, and they are in the next 2-3 weeks. We have quite some volunteers there. We have the World Food Program. We have the other NGOs from Cap Anamur to German doctors, whatever, who are there. So there are quite a number of people. I'm just saying the people I know of and I have seen there.
I'd like to go back to one aspect of what we've just been talking about, which you sort of dodged out of a little bit. Why did the West come too late? Why did the West respond too late?
You know, I keep getting these questions. Now, my energy is focused on let's get the thing right now, because we have come late, and there were many reasons, like international focus was on Ukraine, on the Gaza Strip, on the ISIS, and many other things, and maybe people thought 20 outbreaks of Ebola, which were all more limited, would be now followed by a 21st, which is as well small, whatever. There may be several reasons. Let's talk about this once we have overcome this.
It's important at this point in time, because Margaret Chan, the head of the WHO, the World Health Organization, has implied that one reason why we responded too late was because it was an African problem. If it had been elsewhere, we might have responded more quickly. And there are a lot of people around the world who are asking why there hasn't been something like a Marshall Plan for the region, with major funding for the region to combat the two big problems, which are Ebola and poverty, which are obviously interlinked.
Yeah. You know, I've been Africa director for quite some years within this ministry, and dealt with all the African countries, and I traveled all the way. And there are a lot of points which are raised now, which might have some reason, and others not. My point is, this lessons learned has to be discussed once we are over this. Right now, there's a lot of things to do, and I'm almost working 24 hours a day to do this. I rather would not spend my energy on this, because this is not running away. This will be coming back, because we have to be better in the next epidemic crisis.
Are you confident that this current battle can be won?
Yes.
What makes you so confident?
Because we are learning every day how to deal with Ebola. We have much more engagement right now than we had 2-3 months ago. And doing my job, you always have to be an optimist.
Okay. Walter Lindner, thank you very much indeed.